Hello, and welcome to a new chapter of Demon's Soul. It has been a long time, I'm very sorry about that, and I hope I will be able to finish the book smoothly. But anyway, here we go, chapter 12. Having trouble to sleep? Asked a voice behind him. I'm apparently not the only one, Sahel said, looking at Sahel, who was approaching him with his strange walk as if his wings were too big and too heavy for him. Well, it's a good place to think, the angel answered. And what are you thinking about? Sahel asked. All sort of things, really, mostly about my condition. Being an angel is not that simple, you know, Sahel said. A bit like being a demon, Sahel said. At least everybody don't expect you to be good and nice all the time, Sahel answered. Of course not. They expect me to be bad. I'm not sure which one is better, Sahel said bitterly, looking back at the moon. Brownie doesn't, at least. She's rather special, isn't she? Sahel answered. Yes, she is, Sahel said. She was going out with another demon, before you, Sahel said. Sahel kind of wanted to say that they weren't going out. He didn't really want to listen about Brownie being with someone else, but his curiosity was too strong. What happened? He asked. I really hated the guy, you know the style, I'm better than anyone, just look at me. Each time he was around, my wings turned black, and I couldn't use my power, and Lawan was getting sick near me too, Sahel said. The story wasn't quite what Sahel had expected, but he understood better the prejudice against demons from certain members of the family. I made them split up, Sahel said. Well, I thought I did because I was really trying very bad to, but that was more complicated than just me. So that's why she's not with him anymore, Sahel said. She's probably still in love with him and just see him in me. How could you be selfish enough to separate them? He turned around looking at the moon, not wanting to deal with the angel anymore, feeling so miserable for not being the one in Brownie's heart. I don't think so. I think your story is too complicated now for her to see him through you. And that time they just split up for a week, not forever, Sahel said. Sahel turned back around, a bit confused. Don't think anyone could separate them, Sahel said. Brownie got sick, real sick. She stopped eating, stopped talking, stopped everything, because she saw he didn't want to see her ever again. I told her to go, but she didn't want to bother him with that. Yeah, that's the kind of foolish thing she would do, Sahel said, more interesting. I had to kick his ass to make him come back, Sahel said, laughing. Well, that's not too glorious. He was sick as well. Sahel couldn't believe it. So why isn't he here? Why aren't they together anymore if they love each other so much? He asked. Demons don't really like to see one of them being loved. That's some sort of jealousy, I think. So they destroyed him. A part of him is gone forever. The bigger part, I must say. The part Brownie managed to save right here, Sahel said, pointing at Sahel. Me? Sahel said without understanding. You never wonder where you're coming from? Sahel asked. He didn't wait for the answer to continue, the look on Sahel's face being enough of an encouragement. Brownie recalled his stolen soul. That took her months, but she did it. That's why the demons are after you. That's why she is always so worried about you, he said. So you mean I'm him? Sahel said, a bit horrified. You have his soul. Except for that, you're nothing like him. They tortured him so much, they tortured his soul so much that he lost all happy memories. He forgot about who he was. He forgot about Brownie, and became someone else. I think she recalled his soul just to protect it. She didn't mean to have you appear. I don't even know why you appeared, but she really suffered a lot, so don't do anything that you would regret. Don't hurt her, Sahel said. My soul. Sahel said, thinking. Yeah, so pure and beautiful, Ezekiel laughed. That's what Brownie always said each time I was being bad at you. That his soul wasn't bad at all, probably better than mine. Saying that, he started to leave. Don't go to bed too late, she must be waiting for you. Sahel was a bit confused, because he still thought and felt like himself, but he was wondering if every part of himself was really his. He stayed a bit wondering. There was nothing he could really do about it, but he didn't want to see someone else in Brownie's eyes. He came back to the bedroom and tried to climb in his hammock, carefully, not to awake Brownie. Seeing him so careful amused her. She waited until the last minute to speak. I'm not asleep yet, she said, laughing. Sahel sighed. You should have said it earlier. Do you know how difficult it was to climb in that thing? Yeah, but it was too funny to watch, she said, still laughing. Hearing her laugh, pushed his doubt away. You better sleep, silly girl, it's late, he said. I'm okay. She sat up and kissed his cheek. A warm wave came up his face. He hoped he wasn't blushing. Good night, she said. Good night, he answered. When Brownie woke up the next morning, Sahel was already gone. She found a note on the night table describing his nightmare of the night. Just reading it made her feel that the demons were getting closer. Having him leave the house seemed just like sending him to death. But she had thought for some time the night before, and she realized that him not going was just telling them who and where he was. He might still stand a chance of not being discovered. She sighed, looking at the note, and wondered if the other young demon had also dreams like that. She took a shower before going to prepare some pancakes for breakfast. She was sure Sahel didn't bother to get anything to eat, and she wanted to make his last 2 days as agreeable as possible. Breakfast ready, she said happily, climbing the stairs of the library with a tray full of pancake jam, tea, and orange juice. Why are you always doing that? Sahel asked. He was trying to reach some books in the higher shelf. Doing what? Brownie asked, half confused by the question, half amused by him tiptoeing to reach the book as she put the tray on the table. Bringing me breakfast and stuff, he answered. Because I know that if I don't, you won't eat, she said. Oh, Sahel looked up at the book and sighed. I have to get the ladder again. He was walking toward it, but Brownie blocked his way. Do you know that you have wings? Normally you can fly with them, she said. Sahel passed his hand in his hair a bit embarrassed. I know. Just that. He hesitated a bit, not wanting to admit it, but Brownie's eyes were so piercing that he finally muttered, looking down. I'm scared to fly. Brownie was a bit taken aback by the answer. She had never imagined that possible, and she didn't know if she wanted to laugh or to comfort him. She had always seen Ezekiel flying without any problem. She didn't know how he had learned, but as soon as Ayokule's wings had grown, he had been able to fly instinctively. She had never thought about the possibility that he could be any different for Sahel. Seeing that she wasn't saying anything, Sahel added. You see, the other day, Peter came to look for help because the nasty cat of the neighbor had climbed in the fairy trees again, and Cinnamon was in danger. So I went with him, but they were very high in the tree, so I had to fly to reach them. I never needed to fly before. In the house it's not that easy, and for me, as everybody around walks, flying seems a bit strange. So I had trouble to fly straight, and that was not really comfortable. But I reached that nasty cat and was about to get down, but he scratched me and we fell. So now I think the ladder is better. He tried to pass her, but she says it's wrong. Let's go get that book. If you fall, I'll catch you, she said. You can't catch me, Sahel said, trying to get to the ladder. But Brownie was pushing him to the shelf. Of course I can. I'm your best backup. She looked at him very seriously. Flying would be a good way to escape. He swallowed hard and turned to the book more to avoid facing her than anything else. Once I got that book, will you let me eat breakfast? He said. Of course, she said, smiling encouragingly. He opened his wings slowly, making Brownie realize that the last time it happened, he was really small. They had their usual blue shade, but some parts were turning slowly green. Brownie put her hand on his back. "Don't worry, it's not that high. I'll catch you for sure." The contact in his back felt amazingly reassuring, and Sahel's wings started to move, elevating him 3 good meters above the ground. He seized the book and started going down slowly, deviating a bit to the left. Brownie grabbed him and pulled him down. "I got you," she said, clinging. "I know," he said, laughing, "but that was not necessary." Brownie started to laugh as well, feeling a bit ridiculous. She stopped clinging at him to get what seemed like a very old notebook that had fallen when Sahel was going down. "You still need to practice a bit," she said. "I'll read that first and then I'll get some practice," Sahel said, smiling. "What's that?" Brownie was careful, removing the dust on the notebook, which seems about to fall apart. "It looks like a diary," she answered. She started to read the beginning, and a shiver of terror passed in her back. She closed it as fast and put it on the table with trembling hands. "Let's get breakfast first," she said, trying to smile. "Yes," Sahel said happily, not noticing the mark of worry on her face. "I'm so hungry." He spread some jam on his pancake and bit it with a sweet tooth. "I wish I could eat pancake every morning," he said, with a full mouth. "Be careful what you wish for. That could happen," Brownie said, taking a sip of her tea. "No way, Mum or May wouldn't make pancakes every day," he said, taking another one. "I made them, especially for you," Brownie said, and she thought for herself. "If that meant that I would see you every morning, I could do it all my life." "Wow, I'm so lucky," Sahel said, finishing another one. "Only because of the pancakes?" Brownie asked. "No, also because I'm the only one who got some today." "Why aren't you eating any?" he said. "I'm not really hungry. Just the tea is enough," she answered. The truth was that the content of the diary had disturbed her enough to take away her hungriness. After breakfast, Sahel started to read. He wasn't really in a hurry to start practicing flying. Brownie opened the notebook again and started to read too. Even if it was hard, it was better to know. "To my beloved son, he was a great kid, and I won't have rest until all those who tortured him to death are burned down to ashes." The diary was describing the week of initiation for the ether power of a young demon who was also half-human. Every day he was tortured unnecessarily. His mum was explaining to his father how much it shouldn't have happened that way, and trying each night to end the suffering of their son until he died, and she became crazy. Brownie couldn't help thinking that it could happen to Sahel as well. They did it because that kid was different, and Sahel was different too. Sahel went downstairs to try flying up, but she didn't notice. She was too absorbed in the diary and her worry about him for that. The description was so precise that they made her nauseous. When Sahel managed to reach the second floor straight after his third attempt, she was crying. "What's wrong?" he asked, rushing to her. She tried to hide the notebook, but Sahel took it and started to read. "You silly girl! Shouldn't keep things like that for yourself," he said. Brownie sighed. "I know you will go anyway. I just didn't want you to get worried, so I wanted to make it sound less scary. So that you would be dead worry alone while I'm away, until I get back every evening almost dead," he said, taking her hand. Brownie held it tightly. "I will anyway," she said. He pressed her against him, and she clung at him. "You know, I have a few things that he didn't have," Sahel said. "Like what?" Brownie asked. "A good reason to come back," Sahel said, and he added quickly, not wanting to stay on the topic too long. "And this crazy thing." He opened his medallion, letting go of her, and the dark shadow went out of it immediately. "I'm not crazy!" he yelled. Sahel laughed. "I'm not too sure it would be that useful," Brownie said. "I'll be way more useful than a little idiot like you," the dark shadow said, taking Sahel's hand away from hers. "You're really the worst at educating him to prepare him for that, but he'll survive, I guess. If you unify us, of course." Brownie sighed. "If you're here to talk nonsense, you'll get back in," Sahel said, frowning. "I can always try. You can't make me stop trying," the dark shadow said, opening the notebook and starting to read just where Sahel had stopped. Sahel shook his head. "I just hope you would have given up now." Never, the dark shadow answered, and he started to laugh, turning the pages. That is going to be much fun. I wish I would see things like that with my own eyes instead of yours. You'll let me out, right? He said. Brownie and Sahel looked at each other incredulous. What do you mean with your own eyes? Sahel asked. The dark shadow looked at them. You really know nothing. Well, I guess that's normal for being raised by stupid humans. He gave Brownie a disgusted look. No need for these spiteful comments, Sahel said, tapping on his medallion. All right, the dark shadow said. In short, I am you. As long as the medallion is with you, I see, hear, touch everything you do. By the way, when are we seeing that vampire again? He added, passing his tongue on his lips. Sahel opened big, horrified eyes. We are sharing everything? He asked. Sure, as long as the medallion touches your skin, we are sharing everything. That's why it gets warmer when I know you're in danger, the dark shadow said, plunging back in the diary. So, if it doesn't touch my skin, it's okay, Sahel said, a bit relieved. They were thinking he really didn't want to share. No, that's not. You should better be unified so that you stop acting like a stupid human, the dark shadow said. Sahel smiled and put his hand on the dark shadow's shoulder. It was cold and soft, and his hand sank in it slightly. I really like you, you know, he said, teasing. The dark shadow pushed his hand away. You're not supposed to. How disgusting. He threw his darkest look at Brownie again. See what you've done, he sighed. Brownie couldn't help smiling. I like you too. That's not even true. You would get rid of me as soon as possible if you could, the dark shadow sneered. But you can't, as I'm the only one who can help you through that. He stroked the notebook gently. So you'll protect him, really? Brownie asked, with a voice full of awe. We are one. If he dies, I die, the dark shadow answered. And I want to see you suffer before I do. Hey, this time that's enough, Sahel said, opening the medallion to recall the dark shadow. But Brownie delayed it for a few seconds. That's fine with me, as long as you both come back just fine, the dark shadow sneered before disappearing in the medallion. I won't let him make you suffer, Sahel said between his teeth. Why did you even think of accepting that? Brownie laughed. It's between me and your shadow. Don't worry about it now. You'd better go back to your training. It seems you tend to go to the left all the time, she said, taking the notebook back. I'll try to see day by day what you'll have to do. Don't try to change topic. I said I won't let him, Sahel said again. I know, Brownie said before kissing his cheek. Go back to your training. Sahel shrugged his shoulder and dug his hands deep in his pocket. He extended his wings to jump on the barrier of the second floor. His left wing flipping a bit faster than the right wings made him lose his equilibrium a little. Be careful, Brownie said. I am, he answered, before jumping down and landing lightly on the floor. By the end of the afternoon, Brownie had written down a complete list of what Sahel had to do. Every day he would be put in a situation where using one of his powers would be the easiest way to pass. But it was forbidden for him to use them. It sounded insane. Sahel was reading it carefully. If I don't use my power, and don't let them touch my wings, I'll be just fine, he finally said. It wasn't really Brownie's definition of just fine, but they are still going to beat you and use those needles, she said. It's supposed to make you use them so that they can torture you more. I know, but I'm still the best at controlling them, Sahel said, making flame appear in his left hand and water in his right before joining them. Brownie looked at the fire burning in water, fascinated. It started to turn faster and faster, going up before Sahel made it disappear. It won't get out of me if I don't want it to. You trust me, right? He said. Sure, Brownie said, trying to smile. The problem was that it wasn't about what Sahel would do, but more about what they were going to do to him. Let's go to bed. Tomorrow will be an exciting day, Sahel said, standing up and putting Brownie's note in his pocket. Exciting? Why? Brownie asked, following him. Because we're going out to have fun, of course, Sahel said, happily. But if... Brownie started. It doesn't matter. I don't care about them. I want to see the sea, and what's out, and the dock again. I will go out in 2 days anyway. If they get me tomorrow, it doesn't matter. I just want a normal day, once. And it has to be tomorrow, he said. He didn't give any reason why it had to be tomorrow, but Brownie could feel it. She knew that there was a possibility that they would never be able to do it again. She pushed the dark thought away. "Okay, let's have fun tomorrow," she said, following him. "Wow, I can't believe I convinced you so easily. I should have tried earlier," he smiled. "Can you make pancake for breakfast again tomorrow?" "Don't push your luck too far," she said, smiling. "Please, please," he pleaded. Sometime he was really looking like a little boy again. "We'll see if I'm in the mood," she said, teasing. Sahel started to put a little, making Brownie smile brighter. "I know you'll do it. You always do everything I want," he said, very proud of himself, opening the bedroom's door. "You're such a spoiled kid. I'll teach you," she said. "Of course you will," he answered sweetly. "But surely not tomorrow." She walked to the bathroom. She couldn't stop smiling. Of course she was going to make him pancakes. Sahel started to look at her through the half-open door, and she put her pajamas on, but soon walked to the window to get some fresh air. The sky was full of stars, but he didn't notice. He was too busy trying to stop thinking about Brownie. He suddenly realized that the dark shadow had shared everything. He took the medallion and put it on the top of his t-shirt. The separation made him feel strange a little bit, but he wanted to be left alone with his feelings tonight. "Hey, close the windows, the room is gonna be full of mosquitoes again," Brownie said, sitting on the bed. Her voice awakened him from his dream. He closed the window and took a deep breath before turning around. He looked at her while walking to the bathroom. For her, he was still a little baby. There was no way she was going to share his feeling. He sighed deeply. "Don't sigh like that. I'll make them," she said, smiling. "What?" he asked, confused. "Your pancakes tomorrow. I'll make them." "Okay, thanks," he said before disappearing in the bathroom. "What's the mark on your shoulder?" Sahel asked, going out of the bathroom. "How do you know I have one?" Brownie answered. "I always hide it." Sahel bit his lips, not really wanting to admit that he was watching her change. "I got bitten," Brownie continued. "When the lion attacked you?" "No, he didn't have time for that. I asked my ex-boyfriend to bite me," Brownie answered. "Why?" Sahel asked, sitting near her on the bed and pulling on the collar to see the mark. "Because that was the only way to make him trust me, to make him believe I truly loved him," Brownie said, hiding the mark again. "But it's so deep, it must have been extremely painful," Sahel said. Brownie nodded. "If he really loved you, he would never have done that, and he would never have gone away," Sahel said firmly, putting his hand on her shoulder. Brownie looked suddenly sad. "Sometimes things are a bit more complicated." Sahel climbed on his hammock unconvinced. "Can I bite you too, then?" he asked. "I thought pancakes were enough for you," Brownie said, throwing him a pillow. He jumped on her. "Of course they are. Probably way tastier. But I still want to taste you," he said, putting his thumb on Brownie's neck. She put her hand on his hair, closed her eyes and waited. Sahel kissed her neck softly and got up, his heart racing in his chest. "You're not even fighting. You're so silly." She got up, too, and hugged him tightly. He passed his hand on his hair, not really knowing what to do, before deciding to hug her back. "You should get rid of that, and forget that guy. I'm here now," he said. "I tried. Nothing would take it away," she said. "Wait until Guy got my ether power, and you'll see." He kissed her forehead. "No, go to bed. And don't you throw me a pillow again, or I'll bite you for real." Brownie laughed, getting her pillow back. "Good night," she said. "Good night," Sahel answered. He fell asleep really quickly. Brownie stood up and walked to the bathroom. She looked at the brown mark on her shoulder and ran a finger around it. For the first time since Sahel had appeared in her life, she was starting to think about you and feel that she was forgetting him. Sahel's soul and his mark on her shoulder were the only remaining of him. But Sahel's soul has changed now. It was brighter and happier than his had ever been. It was fully his. The thought made her smile, even if she didn't achieve what she wanted to do while recalling it. Even if she didn't take it back to you, Sahel was really worthy of it. Now she would finally look for a way of removing the last visible memory of you. She never tried, never even thought about it before. Nobody knew about it. She lied to Sahel because she was scared of hurting him. This mark had been her burden to carry, a reminder of her faithfulness to her old love. But tonight, for the first time, she was ready to let go. Sahel started to be agitated in his sleep. The nightmares were still here, Every night they were getting worse, and even if he always pretended not to care, she knew he was frightened as much as she was. All she always saw was herself running with him in the cave corridor. It still carried hope of escaping, but Sahel was seeing them demons coming for them, and every nasty thing they were planning to do to them. She walked to him and stroked his hair and cheek to calm him down. He moaned and started to breathe normally again, as if she had the power of chasing the nightmare away. When Sahel woke up the next day, the entire room already smelled like pancake. He closed his eyes again for a few minutes before sitting up in the hammock. "I knew you were going to make me some. I knew it, he said happily. Brownie smiled. "What makes you think they're for you?" she said, teasing. "A lot of things, but I don't have time to discuss them now because we're going out just after breakfast," he said, jumping from his hammock and taking a pancake Brownie had left on the night table. She still wasn't really convinced that it was such a good idea. Sahel would have been safer at home preparing for the next day, but she didn't want to ruin his happiness now, especially that there was a chance for him not to come back from the test. She pushed the last soda away and sat on the bed to spread chocolate on her pancake. "So, where are we going?" she asked. Sahel started to speak, but he suffocated with a piece of pancake. He knocked his chest and took a big sip of orange juice, making Brownie laugh before continuing. "I really want to see the sea, and then I want to go to the carnival to have fun," he said, taking another pancake. "That sounds like a good plan," Brownie said. I know, it's going to be fantastic," Sahel said, smiling. His last piece of pancake still in mouth, he ran to the bathroom to shower. When Brownie came back from the kitchen, he was busy putting some piece of cloth around his medallion. "What are you doing?" Brownie asked. "Making sure that I'll have today all for myself," he answered. Brownie said. "He would deserve a bit of fun, too, you know. And if you're in danger, he won't be able to help. I'm not sure that it's such a good idea. He'll be fine. I'll take him out in case of danger. Also, I'm very strong, so you don't have to worry. Today is just for you and me, except if you don't want to," he said, hesitating on the last part. "I'm happy with it," Brownie said, smiling. Sahel dug the medallion in his pocket and opened the window. "In which direction is the beach?" he asked. Brownie walked to the window and pointed southwest. "That's the way, I think," she said. "Are you ready?" Sahel asked again. "Sure," she said, starting to walk to the door, but Sahel stopped her and took her in his arm before making them jump on the window's border. "Don't worry, I'm an expert at flying now," he said, taking off in direction of the beach. Brownie was clinging at him and looking down at the house and trees, which passed fast behind them. She was still clinging after Sahel landed on the beach. "You can let go now," he said. "We're on the floor." "Oh, sorry," Brownie said, blushing and letting go of him. He started instantaneously to run to the water and to look everywhere. "This is so amazing," he said, turning back to Brownie while a wave landed on his feet. "Wow, that's cold," he added, surprised and laughing. Brownie laughed too, wishing she could have taken him here earlier, but the adventure with the demon in the park had made her play safe. Sahel walked back up to sit on dry sand.